Meeting started. We just came out of executive session. So I just want to make note, we have Mrs. Deeroff on the phone this evening. So call the meeting to order and roll call, please.
Mr. Foose?
Here.
Ms. Nyman?
Here.
Mr. Brees?
Here.
Mr. Lewis?
Here.
Mrs. Usavage?
Here.
Mrs. Denon?
Here.
Mr. Boyer?
Here.
Ms. Deeroff? Ms. Deeroff? Hello? She's still on there.
All right, you want to try it again? Do you have a number where you
Yeah, I need it again.
You have reached 610-689-55.
It was on.
All right.
Mr. Elsier?
Here. All right, we'll try to get Mrs. Deeroff on the phone. We must have lost the connection or something. Okay, now Pledge of Allegiance followed by a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And just mention that tomorrow is 9/11, another anniversary of that tragic event. So with that, thank you. Okay, previous executive sessions, as just noted, we just came out of an executive session on negotiations. That executive session was 45 minutes. And then we also had one for 30 minutes on negotiations as well. And that was, I don't have a date on here, or do I? Well, that would have been last month on Tuesday. We now go to public comment period number 1. And I'm getting the sign that no one has signed up. Thank you very much. I'm now going to turn it over to Dr. Bedin. We have a short itemized agenda this evening.
Mr. President, board members, with the recent resignation of Ms. Clauser as the Chief Financial Officer for the district, and given the current fiscal challenges that we are facing, as well as the need to try to create stability, which in a department that typically had been the most stable in the district for years, has had a lot of change and turnover. The administration has reviewed the needs to fill the position based on what I just described, as well as further consultation with other business officials within the state. And based on the review and conversation with other business officials throughout the state, the administration recommends the appointment of Ms. Carol Pitts, who is currently the Manager of Business Services, to succeed Ms. Clauser as for the Chief Financial Officer position of the school district. It is important to note that Ms. Pitts previously served with the district, has had extensive experience in a number of other districts, including large districts such as North Penn. She's also worked at the IU and other similar sized districts. The conversation and the feedback on reference checks and as well as daily observation has made it clear to us that she has the knowledge coupled with excellent school finance experience, not only within our district, but also through her other experiences working in other capacities in the business office in other school districts. At this point in time, Ms. Clauser, Ms. Pitts would succeed Ms. Clauser in October after Mrs. Clauser's last date. The financial terms of employment would be very similar to the same as Ms. Clauser for a 3-year agreement with the initial salary of $139,000 per year. And the contract will be obviously worked on by the solicitor.
Okay, with that, looking for a motion and a second. Ms. Nyman, second. Mr. Lewis, questions or comments on this piece? Okay, I can clarify. Any questions or comments? Okay. All right. Siri had a question. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Mrs. Deeroff is on the phone. I think I mentioned that earlier. Yes? We got her back on. Yep, so Mrs. Deeroff is on the phone. So seeing no questions or comments on this piece, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Fuss?
Yes.
Ms. Nyman?
Yes.
Mr. Brees?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mrs. Usavage?
Yes.
Mrs. Denon?
Yes.
Mr. Boyer?
Yes.
Ms. Deeroff?
Yes.
Mr. Elsier?
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Okay, the next piece for Dr. Bedden is personnel.
The administration would like to recommend to the Board of School Directors to approve the following personnel appointments. We have, and resignations. We have 3 resignations for classified staff. We have a new appointment of 1 professional staff pending receipt of employment requirements, the appointment of 1 classified personnel. We have a change in appointment status for 3 professional staff and 3 classified staff. And we're also recommending FMLA and leave of absences for 4 professional staff.
Okay, looking for a motion and a second. Okay, Mrs. Usavage, second. Mrs. Denon, questions or comments on the personnel piece? Okay, Ms. Nyman?
We are not hiring any teachers for a new position. It's just long-term subs, am I correct?
Long-term subs are in for teachers that are temporarily are not at work. So if it's not that type of vacancy and it's a true vacancy, we do offer a contract position. By school code, we are obligated to hire them as a contracted employees.
But my question is, none of the ones here, they're all long-term subs. They're not actually a position at this time.
Okay, so I apologize. I don't have the actual.
Some of them are going from long-term to full-time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
different.
so we have a professional that is a contract. If you look long-term sub, so for the one teacher that's hired temporarily at New Hanover, that is replacing a teacher that is temporarily out.
Right.
That's the only one. The change of employment status is when we have, so are you looking for are you looking under change of employment status? Or?
Just the way it's worded, it sounds like that one is getting a position at New Hanover instead of a long-term sub.
It does, status is long-term substitute
Okay,
and has the rate of pay. That's a long-term sub.
so it's not gonna be.
It's not a contract. So we have a
Okay.
teacher that is temporarily out, and that teacher is expected to return on February 11th.
Okay, I just want to make sure of that.
Absolutely, that's
Thank you.
fine, sure.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Fuss?
Yes.
Ms. Nyman?
Yes.
Mr. Brees?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mrs. Usavage?
Yes.
Mrs. Denon?
Yes.
Mr. Boyer?
Yes.
Ms. Deeroff?
Yes.
Mr. Elsier?
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
So that finishes the itemized agenda. We are now at the point for public comment. So he's checking to see if anyone signed up for public comment period number 2. Okay, I got the sign that no one has signed up. Next up is any final board comments. Okay, Ms. Nyman?
Yes, I have a couple. Last Tuesday, I text Dr. Benton, sorry about that, about 10 o'clock, because I saw the fire personnel over at senior high. He did respond to me, and that's fine, but I heard that our gates did not operate for the emergency personnel to get through. So they had to go all the way around. What are we doing about that situation?
I have no idea because no one has shared that concern. So this is the first I'm hearing about it, and I would say that if you hear that, like you texted me, feel free to text me again, but this is the first I'm hearing of that being a concern.
Okay, I will talk to the fire personnel that have talked to me, and I will have them.
And Mr. Dresser is here tonight, so he will be able to check on it also.
They said it did not work at all. And after we just put another 7,000, almost 8,000 out, that concerned me. That could have been a matter of our building going down had there been an actual fire. So that was one of my concerns.
Excuse me, can I just, I think Dr. Benton will have an update in for the board in the Friday newsletter.
I will have the fire personnel that I know that talk to me contact you or give me more information or whatever. Okay, so thank you on that. Thank you for the response that quickly that night. I was not aware that you knew about it, so I figured I would quick text you rather than try to email you.
No, I mean, I appreciate it. I was just, ironically, within the 5 or 10 minutes prior, had just been notified when the staff knew. So don't assume it's a safety issue. I welcome you letting me know, because I might not have known.
Well, rather err on the side of safety than, so, that was one of the things. I've been told that the emails or the website was changed and that there's no direct emails for us school board directors, and there's also no more phone numbers listed.
If you recall from your governance training, there was a discussion, actually in part based on a response to your concern, that all school board members be aware of email communications that come in regarding concerns at the board level. So just based on that training, there's one email address at public display, and it goes to all of y'all at the same time. If you remember during that discussion too, there was a lengthy discussion about the fact that each board member is elected by regions, but they represent the entire district. And as a response to the concern that I believe you also raised about whether or not you all were aware of everything, we changed the email to be one email that goes to all of you all at the same time. So you all get the same communication, and so everyone's aware.
Okay, well, some people were just concerned because sometimes they just like to email us
And
individually.
But I was, in that discussion, that was part of what you raised, as well as others, that shouldn't really be happening, because the board has, individual board members have no authority. It is supposed to be a board of governance model where the majority, so all of y'all get the communication, so you can see all the communication that goes to any board member, so that you're all aware. So that was, again, in response, I remember that day, to part of the concerns that you raised, and then it was agreed upon, I believe that night, that we would establish one email that everyone gets, so everyone's aware of all the communication.
Okay, well then I can take that back to those people on that.
And and we were aware that someone put that on Facebook. And I want to go on record and saying this because Allison is trying to address it. Instead of going to Facebook and making a false accusation or question or concern, they never reached out to anyone, and we would explain to them that everybody gets the email so that every board member has the same information. What it's turned into on social media was an implication that somehow that we took it away and someone was filtering and screening, when in fact you all get to see the same thing at the same time. That communication is sent. So,
Okay.
and I think she's responding to the one person we know that put something on social media.
Okay, thank you. I will send that information out to them. last meeting, I think it was. I think a couple days afterwards, I sent you, Dr. Benton, an email asking some questions, I didn't think were that bad. And you kindly responded to me, which was fine. I had no problem with that. You gave me honest answers, and that was great. However, another board member went on to say that I was borderline harassing, and I take offense to that. We want to do a policy here that says we respect each other. Well, where was the respect towards me from that board member? You and I communicated. It was fine. I was happy with the answers I got from you. I don't think that board member needed to respond back to me the way he did. I think that was just totally uncalled for. And then there's one other thing. I can't remember the past student's name, unfortunately. But there was a student that is now going to Penn State, and he took the telecommunications course. I think his name's Matt, but don't quote me on that anymore. And he has called the last 2 Penn State games, and I'm told he's doing an awesome job, thanks to Mr. C. And I won't even try to say his last name, because I'll mess it up for him. But I've heard it from several Penn State people that I know that are gung-ho Penn State, and they said he's doing an awesome job, thanks to our great telecommunications. So thank you.
Okay. Next is announcements. Basically, we have a meeting immediately following this, which is our Finance, Facilities, and Operations Committee. And again, on any Tuesday night, you can go to our website, most every Tuesday, that is. We have some sort of meeting. So with that, looking for a motion to adjourn this voting meeting. Mr. Brees, second. Ms. Nyman, thank you. Meeting adjourned. And give us 5 minutes to just reconfigure here. We'll start our committee meeting, our workshop. Thank you.